G'day. It's that guy again. It's Dana, and this is part two of my story. Um, just as a continuation on from the first part, uh, I jumped on a plane and flew home after being pretty well. Well, had the rug pulled out from under me, I guess. And I had spoken to Kate briefly on the phone, and one of my good mates was still staying up there with us, so sort of went home and had a bit of a discussion with him and with the good lady wife. She was preparing to go to Adelaide to her folks' place for Christmas, which obviously we continued with, and I was tasked with making a decision on what to do. Obviously, with Damo's success overseas with the fasting, and certainly some awesome information came from there. My sister had started to follow a gent called Don Tolman, who was very, very informative. And to know on Damo had actually gone over and stayed with his son in Bali, which was a big part of their journey. Look, I talked to Kate and I said, look, I need to talk to Tyler to help make my decision. You know, I rang work and said, fellas, I'm going to be a bit late coming back from work. I've got to do some research, which they were pretty supportive, which is pretty good. Mick, good on you, buddy. So I set to just getting on Google, I guess. I watched Don Tolman speak quite a bit about raw whole food living, fasting, the ability of the human body to heal itself, and watched some pretty good movies. And even I read about a woman who'd just eaten grapes to get rid of cancer. You know, and you think, well, they don't get anything out of it. So there's got to be some truth in it, I guess, because they're not sponsored by the wine company or anything like that. So I had to put some credence in some of the stories I was reading on the internet. There's some bullshit there too, but you know, if you read into them pretty right, you can see the truth in it. There's also some fantastic movies that I watched: Rethinking Cancer, Forks Over Knives. There's a few other ones, and look, I'm going to get back into my video collection, and I'm going to review a few of them for everyone else to watch. I know recently I've watched What the Health, which is pretty cool. I watched Forks Over Knives again. Rethinking Cancer I thought was pretty good, but I haven't been able to find another copy of that. And it's not on Netflix. But needless to say, I spent 2 or 3 days looking at alternatives, I guess, to get rid of this cancer. And I did slowly come to the realisation that they just took a tumour out. I had cancer the whole time, and I'd had cancer for years and years. The tumour was just a symptom. So you need to treat the whole organism. You need to get your cells back to working how they are supposed to work and get rid of the toxicity that caused your cancer in the first place, because the tumour is just a symptom. Anyway, I kept up with I was going to make an appointment with I spoke with the liver surgeon or the receptionist there, and she said, look, we'd like to do PET scans. And I said, oh, righto, no drama. And as it was, you got like free travel, like medical travel from Mackay down to Brisbane. And so I drove into town, and I got to the hospital where you go in and get your freebie flights and that sort of stuff. And then the phone rang, and it was Tyler Tolman. And look, I sat in the car. I reckon we talked for half an hour, you know. And I thought, well, fuck it, that's it. I'm going to Bali. So I rang up Kate in Adelaide. I said, "Babe, you better get the kids some passports. We're going to go to Bali, you know." And she was over the moon. She was really pushing to try something else. So off we went. So so I got online and I rang that mob, that like a TV shopping network, bought a juicer, and just obviously Tyler gave me some tips like lemon juice in the morning, lots of fruit in the morning, veggies in the afternoon. So I pretty much went vegan, you know. I did. I did manage to stick a couple of steaks in there before I went overseas, which was pretty good. The last steak I ever ate was Christmas 2013, and it was Wagyu. All right, nice steak. Um, don't miss it now though. Look, so all the flights are booked and all that sort of stuff, and I went to work and I just kept up studying and looking into stuff and working out where I was, and the guys at work supported me, which was pretty cool. But I needed to get a doc certificate, so I went to the local one of my local GP in Mackay, and she was pretty good. There are some good ones out there. They're not trained to cure you, but there's some good ones. I'm sure none of them have a bad intention on the outset. That's why they become doctors, you know, bound by policy and training. Sad news, really. Look, anyway, so I got a doc certificate to go over there. Paid to go and booked the flights and all that sort of stuff. Kids got passports. Kate was still in Adelaide, so um, she flew home and the kids stayed down there, and they were going to come over a couple of weeks after we started because look, I guess we were sort of hitting the ground running, and we didn't want to involve them much, you know. The juicer came, so I finally got my juicer, which I thought was bloody fantastic, and I made a Kabbalah juice, which is a Don Tolman thing. So it's carrot apple, beetroot apple, lemon apple. I will explain that one in the juicing video that I want to make for you. And I made Kabbalah, and I put some celery in it, a bit of ginger, and I sat on the front porch of my house, which has got a pretty good view. So, and I started just sipping this juice, and I just started shaking like 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 you wouldn't believe. And I thought, it's working, you know, it's something's happening, you know. And I'd touched on the Gerson method on the internet and all that sort of stuff. I hadn't read the book yet, but I certainly understood the benefits of juices and what they were going to do to me, you know. So I was just so confident that it was going to work that that like my worries started to disappear. So we got on the plane. It was December 31st, 2013. I actually the guys picked me up from the airport, and I got to the retreat or the resort at 1 minute past 12 on the 1st of January 2014. I remember talking to my mate. I said, "Oh, they're going to want me to do enemas and shit. I'm not fucking doing that crap. I'm not sticking that not in my ass, you know." And nothing could be further than the truth. I got there, read the itinerary. So it was 3 colonics a week. They were going to put me through fasting, and I was expected to do 2 enemas every day. I thought, nah, you know. But look, at the end of the day, it's necessary. If you're going to detox hard, you need to get the toxicity out. And if you're not eating, you don't feel like going. So if it stays in your bowel, it'll poison you again. So you need to get it out. And that's a big part about the detoxification process, as well as the fasting. So we had a couple of days of just we read some books and some training, all that sort of stuff with Tyler and his crew. And I was on juice by then, so I was just doing juices, and we learned a bit about the the ancient ways of fasting and what have you. So all the all the rules behind it, the the nobility of the number 7 and all that sort of stuff. So I thought, I'm going 21 days. You know, I was certainly old enough. And another fellow there, Tim, he did 21 days with me as well. And there's obviously the women were smashing it out of the park as well. So 3 days on juice and 21 days on water in Bali. And so we had spiritual healing as well. There was a rebirthing. So there's a big part of healing. You get rid of your anger and find them demons that sometimes will contribute to your illness, you know. So we were fasting, lots of fasting, and colonics and nothing coming out. You think, oh, you know, what's going on here? But it's your mind. It stops your release and stuff, you know. So once you settle into doing it and all that sort of stuff, you actually fairly effectively detox. I lost 17 kilos in 21 days. You'll be happy to know I found a fair few of them again. But about day 16, I think, before I got tired. The theory behind fasting is that you're hungry for the first 2 days, and then bang, hunger disappears. You don't realise that you're not hungry anymore. You actually, all you miss is the action of eating. So you're not hungry. And I remember my sister and Tennille brought the kids over, and I was 13 days in, I think. And I believe Damo had some dramas fasting too, because he's a lot younger. It's that sevens thing. I'll explain that when I do the fasting video. And also he had a brain tumour. I had a body cancer. So they were stunned. I said, yeah, I'm day 13, you know. And so look, everything was going famously. About day 16, I thought, shit, I've got to go number 2s. Because I'd had dramas with the incontinence at the start because I'd stopped taking the Imodium, of course. And it had settled down a fair bit. And I went to the toilet and this black lump come out your rear end. I looked in the bowl. I thought, that's it. I got it. The cancer's gone. And it was after that I started getting a bit fatigued, you know, like I was probably getting towards the, it was like, it's like my body had done it, you know, like it had lived so long on, it lived for 16 days. I was running, jogging, swimming, doing everything because my body was living on my own toxicity. I was so toxic, it wasn't funny. So joy. So I actually made a testimonial video for Tyler before I left, and I think it's on his website. But look, he gave me the space to prove everything I had realised was true and correct in the month before I went over there. So I will always be eternally grateful for that. And we did. I'm trying to think what else we did. I'll check my notes. So look at the release. So I lost 17 kilos. Rah, rah. Look, we did a little bit of rebirthing. So there was a guy there named Michael Adamides, and look, if you can find someone who's good at breath work and rebirthing, super beneficial. I worked out I had a few issues with my dad and stuff. Well, more than I thought I had. And look, managed to get over them, and like you come out of the back end of them, it's like the back end of an acid trip. It's just like, oh, such a load off your shoulders. It's over, you know. And just that in the healing process too is amazing. So it's certainly worth doing that, you know. And then meditation is something I never thought I'd do. Don't do it so much nowadays, but certainly did it a lot back then in my time of healing, and I would highly recommend it. I mean, if I could stop working for a living, I'd probably do it more. Look, the keystone to the whole cure is the fasting. I finished 21 days in Bali, and we got home. I hit the ground running there, so I went like full vegan for a couple of weeks, just to sort of get used to eating and I said to Kate, I said I'm going to do 60 days just on juice. So 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 off we went again. So I bought another juicer, so we had one at home, one at work, and Kate was getting like 20 kilos of fruit and veg up from Brisbane, organic stuff, and I was taking it out to work. So I was juicing at home, and I had a juicer set up on my desk at work. All the boys would call me Con the Fruiterer. So look, I managed to do that for uh, 40 days. So it was bang on 40 days. I sort of refer back to the book where it says fast for the time you allot or till hunger returns. And I was in the kitchen one night and Kate was feeding the kids. I said, you know what, babe? I said, I'm hungry. I could do with a feed. And that was it. The fast was over. It was all good. You know, and from then I did another water fast. So look, and all the times now I'd actually adopted colonics, so I was getting colonics done in town in Mackay there, and I remember the therapist saying, "How long is it since you've eaten?" I said, "Well, for the first 60 days of this month," I said, "I've only eaten for 14 days." And there was worms coming out and like all this crap, mate, just like old meaty shit and stuff that's just stored in your guts that you got to get out. And it was just amazing, just full on amazing, you know. And part of the learnings over there was if you're over 40 years old, you should do a 40-day fast every year. But some of the more traditional practitioners, to break it up, would do a 10-day fast 4 times a year. So I adopted that regime. So I would do 3 days juice and 7 days water. So I did that in March in 2014, and went into the doctor. Thought I'll go and get my CEA checked and that sort of stuff, and see how I'm going. So I went in there, and the CEA was 1.1. Oh, all right. And my blood pressure was 110/70. And I said to mate, the doctor, I said, it's not bad for a 50-year-old. He said, mate, that's not bad for a 17-year-old. And I thought, I'm on the money here. I've got it right. So, look, life went on after that. So I bought a smoothie. So I had Nutribullet then. So there's smoothies in the morning at work then. So we had to get some nuts in, all that sort of stuff. And still doing a juice at that night, every night. So I did that for pretty much till I finished there. And come June, I thought I'll do another fast. So I did another 10 days. So 3 days on juice and then 7 days on water, and made an appointment with my doctor again. And CEA was good. Well, I just went on and said I wanted to check for the hepatitis as well, which was still there. And she convinced me to do a scan, a CAT scan. And I thought, you know, it's nice to know you're not growing cancer, but you don't want to see a tumour that's still in there, you know. So, look, anyway, she convinced me to do it. So I went and did a CAT scan in town, and I was actually sitting on the toilet having, the time of my life when the phone rang, and old mate said, apart from some scarring from surgery, there is no tumours detected. So that was it, mate. Happy days, cured. So 6 months after I was diagnosed, I was cured, completely clear, no cancer. So that's the end of my story. Now I'm going to try and, well, I'm not going to try, I'm going to publish some videos and go through everything that I did, and plus hopefully pass on plenty of the information that I've managed to glean over the years since I was cured, or I cured myself. So I'm going to do a video and explain cancer, the nature of cancer, and how we get it, and such. And I'm going to do a video on fasting with some explanations of the principles of fasting from biblical times, believe it or not. Not a religious person, but there is some sound knowledge from those times. Juices, so I'm going to talk about juicing and juices versus smoothies and all that sort of stuff. I'm certainly going to touch on acid alkaline. Very important. You must be alkaline, and there are things that you do now that you shouldn't do that are stopping you being alkaline, and I will explain that. I'll want to touch on some spiritual stuff as well. I'll hopefully involve a couple of content experts there. I'm going to talk about enemas, colonics, gut health, a bit of a spiel on diabetes, mercury fillings and heavy metals. When I was in Bali, I had all my teeth pulled out that had mercury or amalgam fillings in it. I wasn't using them, so I got them all pulled out. And actually in Bali, they sew your gums shut, and so you can get false teeth as soon as you get home, which is pretty cool. I want to also talk about fermented foods, so I'll do a video on fermented foods, and I'm going to review some books and movies. I'll certainly try and share as many decent, informative videos that I see on this channel, and I also want to do a video on questions you might want to ask and strategies you can take if you're diagnosed with any debilitating condition, really, diabetes, cancer, heart disease. There's questions you can ask, and there's certainly life changes, or lifestyle changes, I'll call it. No one wants to change their life, but we can all change our lifestyle to fit in with life. I mean, I still have a few beers and don't mind a packet of potato chips or three. So it's great health, and a cancer-free life, is an illness-free life is certainly achievable. And all you got to do is adjust what you eat and modify some behaviours, I guess. So, look, if you're interested in watching more videos, I think you've got to subscribe to this channel or something like that. Please subscribe. Any feedback I'll take on board. If you need any info and I can answer, sure, no worries. Send it in. Probably be a few naysayers. Say what you like, mate. Proof's in the pudding. Thanks for watching. Cheers.